at 7 p.m. Roll call, Manager Falk.
Commissioner Hempel.
Here.
Commissioner Hagus.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Zona.
Here.
Commissioner Bevan. Here. Commissioner Goss.
Here.
President Atwood.
Here. If you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If any citizens would like to offer input tonight, please sign the book at the podium. Let the record reflect that there is no citizens' input tonight. Work session discussion topics. Manager Falk.
Item number 1, Keystone Collections presentation. Keystone Collections Group is a business here in the township. They approached me to want to present to the Board of Commissioners about extending a proposal to collect our per capita tax and our local service tax. Right now, it's currently being collected by Berkheimer, and we've had an agreement with Berkheimer since 2012. So I will turn it over to Keystone Collections.
Thank you very much. My name is Jason Lawson. I'm the Director of Business Development with Keystone Collections. I've been with Keystone coming up on 21 years. I'm also a resident of North Huntington Township. I've lived in the township for 17 years. I live on Bernice Drive in the Markview Manor Plan. I'm joined tonight by Jason Winters. He's our Relationship Manager with Keystone. He's been with us a little over a year, but in his previous life, he was a township manager. He was a manager of Hempfield Township. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. Your manager, Harry, is correct that we approached him and said, we are a business, very local here, and we have an interest to, help out the township. And so of a small presentation, we're going to address 4 different tax types: per capita, delinquent real estate, LST, and business privilege tax. So without further ado, a little history on Keystone. Apologize for that. We were founded in 1985 by Tom Kratzenberg. He is an attorney as well as a CPA. He's from the West Mifflin area. We were founded in the Mon Valley in White Oak. Currently, we have 220 employees. Our main headquarters is on Wendell Road. I'll be honest, that is not in North Huntington Township. We're about 45, 50 feet away from the township at that place. That is actually Hempfield. But our operations center is in Banco Industrial Park. We have 110 of our employees that work at that location, and they remit LST to you already. Additionally, approximately, I think 45 of our employees are residents of your township, myself included, as I already detailed. Additionally, Keystone collects tax for 900 school districts and municipalities all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're in about 38 counties, and currently we serve as the Earned Income Tax Officer for 19 districts within the Commonwealth. Locally, Allegheny Southeast, that portion, Allegheny North, Washington County, Greene County, Bedford County, so Somerset County, all the way over to Philadelphia, Dauphin, Tioga, which is up on the New York state line. So we collect tax all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I didn't put it here, but we process about $3 billion per year through the operation at Banco Industrial Park. Why Keystone? Why should the township consider making a change and engaging in a partnership with Keystone? I'm not going to read this word for word. It's up there and it's in the packets I've given you, but one thing I go to is service. I think Keystone, it starts with our founder, Mr. Kratzenberg, has a big commitment to service, both to our clients, the communities and schools that we work for, as well as the residents. Like I said, I've worked for him as an intern. I was in law school at Duquesne Law. It was impressed upon me from the start. We treat all of our residents with dignity and respect, no matter whether they're the biggest delinquent and they owe a lot of money, or they're just somebody that's paying a current tax and needs a little bit of help. We really try to go above and beyond to provide the information to help them pay their taxes timely, in a dignified manner, without having to go to delinquent status if possible. Additionally, we also provide a great level of service to our communities and school districts through many different levels and ways that we do that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Jason for a minute.
Thank you. As Jason said, I am Jason Winters. I'm fairly new to Keystone, a little over a year. I was the township manager at Hempfield Township, so it's nice to be on this side of the table instead of on that side for a while. But I was a resident of North Huntington for about 10 years. I left probably in about 2017 before I moved into Hempfield Township. Just want to go over a couple things and then get into the tax types that we're here to talk about. We really focus, like Jason said, on our taxpayer experience. We send clear and concise tax notices. It's not good to send the resident anything confusing, because if they're confused, it's more calls on us, it's more calls on you. So we really want to make it, it's really important to us to send clear, concise tax notices. We have our own print shop right in North Irwin, so we actually print all our own bills and everything straight from North Irwin and mail here locally. We really stress on our online payment system. Every bill that we send out has a QR code on it. You go right on your phone. Everyone does basically they live on their phones now. They scan the QR code and pay instantly. With our online payment, if you use your ACH option, there's no charge. So we really stress the online payment options. We also focus on our website and be able to give the residents answers as soon as they need them. So we have a very extensive FAQ section on our website that really guides the resident of any question they have. And really the last resort for them is to then call us. And we have 35 taxpayer service representatives, all local, right in our office, to answer anything that the taxpayer needs. And we have a nice callback system. So if you call, just like a lot of the bigger companies, you just put your number in and they'll call back within usually 10 minutes or so. We really also stress our client experience. You know, I could stand here right now and as a former client of Keystone, I was very impressed with the client experience that we got. We work with any tax type that we bring on. We work very closely with the municipality or school district. We have a transition coordinator that works specifically with that person to bring the client on and stays with the municipality, in this case with you, through that first ACH and sent back to you in the first report. And then we turn it over to a dedicated group of people that are our client service representatives. Client services is the phone call away or email away for the manager, any of the staff to call if they have any questions. If a resident's calling here, then Harry can pick up the phone call. Our client service says, I really have this resident needs help, and we give them a call back right away. We have something a KeyTrack system, which is an online self-service system for our clients. You can log right in, get all your ACH disbursements, get reporting that you need for audits. We want to be able to provide our clients with the information they need right at their fingertips. Also, we pride ourselves on fast disbursements. Depending on the tax type, we get disbursements out weekly for those taxes. And then also rapid recovery for delinquents. Our company 38 years ago was founded on delinquent services. So we really pride ourselves and really, we have over 50 IT professionals that keep enhancing our systems so we could keep doing delinquents better and getting money quicker for our townships and school districts. So we're going to get into some of the tax types. The single page that you have in your packets is actually just an overview of all your tax types, who collects them, and we thought it was important to show you who else we collect in Westmoreland County. So as you see, so we're going to get through, look at some of those, but just our per capita, both current and delinquent, those are our clients in Westmoreland County. We have some larger school districts and some larger municipalities within the county, but also some smaller ones. Our per capita, we have a great relationship with your current EIT collector to share data back and forth. So even though we aren't your current EIT collector, we will get regular data from them. So what we would do is bring the data in and make sure and really work that data to make sure every resident that's supposed to be getting a per capita bill gets a per capita bill. And you guys do have an occupation tax. So every resident that should be getting that occupation tax is also getting that. So we'll work that. We verify mailing address. We want the least amount of errors as possible. We also do an intelligent mail barcodes on all our stuff. So it's not like certified mail, but if someone says, hey, I never got a bill, we can actually go back and say, yes, this was delivered this day by the mail service. So we have that capabilities. And we want to provide easy payments and systems for the taxpayer. Looking at the delinquent side, we're 0% commission. So there's no charge to the municipality for us to collect the delinquents. There is a reasonable fees added on to the taxpayer based on how much they owe in delinquent. We also work with delinquent taxpayers. So if they make the effort to call in, we will work with them and come up with a reasonable payment plan so they make sure they get paid and back on the positive side of things as quick as possible. One of the things that we really did during COVID was enhance our wage garnishment system. And so with your EIT data, we know where every person then works. So for anyone that is delinquent, we give them the opportunity to pay their delinquent bill. After so long, we give them another notice that says, hey, we're now going to garnish your wages through your employer, and here's who your employer is. Give them the opportunity to pay at that time, and then we'll go through the wage garnishment system. So with our systems, we're able to get your delinquent money as quick as possible to you, because so you can hit your budget numbers every year. And then we have a solid online exoneration option available for the residents. So if there are a reason they did happen to get the delinquent and they need to exonerate themselves, they could do that very easily online. So I'm going to turn it over back to Jason real quick and talk about delinquent real estate.
And I'm actually going to add one point to the delinquent per cap. I promise we'll wrap up here in 1 minute and allow you to get on with the rest of your agenda. But Jason mentioned when we obtain data from your current EIT provider, we do that for two reasons. One is to make sure, for those areas where we serve in Westmoreland County, that we're getting the right people on the tax rolls. And two, to make sure that we have the employers we can garnish the folks that aren't paying the tax timely. My personal situation is I've worked many, many years. My wife took about 10 years off to raise our children, to get them, out of elementary school into Hillcrest. And she still hasn't been billed for occupation tax for the last 4 or 5 years that she's been back to work. So it tells me that your current provider isn't doing this cross-references, looking for her earnings, because she has earned money for the last 4 or 5 years, reported to the PA Department of Revenue and paid our local tax to Berkheimer on your behalf. But they're not double-checking like they should for you. But that's all I'll say on that. For delinquent real estate, just mention, I know most municipalities and schools use the Westmoreland County Tax Claim Bureau. That's perfectly fine, but we offer an alternative as well. Hempfield Township recently joined our ranks. We have about 40 municipalities and schools that we do this for within Allegheny County. Allegheny County does not have a tax claim bureau. Additionally, we have a couple school districts and communities in Washington County that joined us as well and had a great first year last year. There's no knock on Westmoreland County Tax Claim Bureau. They've done nothing wrong, as I'll detail here in a minute. They have to operate under a different law. We can operate under a law called the Municipal Claims and Tax Liens Act. It gives us freedom on behalf of our clients to send as many notices as we want, to be as prompt as we want, to start a sheriff's sale earlier in the process if we want. When we represent communities and school districts, we're not looking to acquire properties. We're looking to get people to pay their taxes and move on. You don't want to acquire properties. You don't want to be a sheriff's sale farm. That's not what anybody wants. But you want to nudge your folks that aren't paying their taxes timely to get the money in and get their situation squared away. Sometimes people have a rough year. Jason mentioned payment plans. We definitely do that with real estate tax. You get a year or two of real estate tax, especially if your millage is up a little bit, it can be a little tough sometimes. Like I said, I'm not going to read the slide word for word, but I'm just going to scoot along. And as I mentioned, the Tax Claim Bureau, and I said it's no knock on them, they're doing the best they can. They have to, by law, operate under a law called the Real Estate Tax Sale Law. It limits what they can do. And in that first year, they normally just send a letter. And then in that second year, once there's 2 years of delinquent data racked up, that's when they can start a sheriff's sale. They normally don't happen to the second half of the year. So technically, it's the third year. So if somebody doesn't pay tax 2 years in a row, it's the third year from the older year. So it takes a while to really nudge the taxpayer, and a lot of them know the system. They know that they have some time, and sometimes under this system, they'll treat it as a low-interest loan. Additionally, because if you don't get that lien filed, your interest doesn't accrue. Real estate taxes don't accrue interest until a lien is filed with your prothonotary. So a couple things under our system. we receive, same as in per cap, we give very informative notices breaking down the delinquency to the penny, the face, the penalty, the interest, any cost to collection we would put on there, any court costs. We always let them know exactly how much they owe. We do accept payment plans. We definitely work with people. We want to treat them with dignity and respect, want to help them get it cleaned up. If there is a sheriff's sale, we have 6 attorneys on staff, myself as one of them. We're adept at doing sheriff sales in any county in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And like I said, our goal is to get you paid, not to put anybody out of their house, not to take anybody's business, just get your money. Additionally, some services that we do to cover our clients, whatever county it may be. If it's a mortgage foreclosure, we'll file a tax claim just to protect your interest there. If somebody files for bankruptcy, goes down that path, we'll file a claim with the bankruptcy court to make sure your interests are always protected there, whether it's a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. Or if unfortunately somebody passes away and they're owing some real estate taxes, we'll keep an eye on the probate courts and we'll file estate claims as necessary as well. Just ways we protect our clients' interests with that. And a couple more real quick slides, and I'll hand it back off to Jason.
Just to wrap up, I want to focus now on those business-driven taxes that are paid by the employers. One being the local services tax, and those are our clients that we have on the local services tax. But we also, I spoke earlier about our taxpayer services department, our client services. We also have a extensive business department that deals just with those employers. And we would work with the township as your LST collector, look at the EIT data that we get in, and compare that to the LST data that is coming in also, and really make sure that businesses are paying the amount of LST that they should based on the EIT, their EIT data. So just that's a tax that is driven by the municipality. So just so there's no, it's a $52 tax. You get $47 of that LST tax. $5 goes to the school district, but the collector is responsible for collecting all $52. So it wouldn't be, just for that sake, I just wanted to point out, it wouldn't be that the township's 47 would be collected by one person and the $5 for the school district. The other business one is, just wanted to mention it since we were here, was our business privilege tax. And we know that it's being collected now by your tax collector, and just wanted to show that we do also collect that. So just to wrap up, because I know you guys have a extensive meeting tonight, we just wanted the opportunity to come present this. We've talked to Harry a couple times, and wanted to share it with you to show you, being the local company and being right here in the township, what we could provide for the residents of North Huntington Township. We would be honored to supply formal proposals, just to point out that we could do per cap, delinquent per cap, and OC, delinquent real estate at any time, transition that. Because LST and business privilege is one of those taxes that's easier to transition at the beginning of the year. We're a little bit more on a time crunch with that. But we would start with Q1 filings for those, especially LST. So I just wanted to be upfront and open with everyone. Is there any questions?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Winters. Obviously, with being the manager of Hempfield, obviously you had dealings with Keystone, but you were on the municipal side there as opposed to now on the Keystone side. And I would assume that you wouldn't be here endorsing them if you had issues with them, or if there was any problems or anything you disliked about it. So I just wondered if you
Right,
could
no,
just-
correct.
Okay.
And that's why I'll be 100% open. When I was looking to move on from municipal government, and saw that they had a position available, I called them right away because it was a great company. Even though there's 200 employees, it's a family business. As Jason said, Tom Kratzenberg, our founder, is 84? 82, sorry, made him a little bit older. But he still comes in the office, still on a regular basis. He's still the CFO of the company. And his son is our CEO. So it's a good family business, and that's what I like about it. And that's why I was joined them, like I said, about a year ago.
Thank you.
I just had 2 quick questions. Obviously, our current provider, Berkheimer, does us and school district. Would you be reaching out to the school district too? I know it looks like on here a lot of municipalities that share a common tax district will share the same taxing agency, would you be reaching out to them as well?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, a per capita tax and occupation tax, right now in North Huntington's billed at the same time. In other parts, other municipalities, it's not. You know, the municipalities build at one time, the school district build. So they don't have to have the same collector. That's something that they could have separate collectors. But if we were able to get a contract with North Huntington Township, we would then go to Norwin and really also Irwin Borough and North
Yeah.
Irwin and because it's easier for the residents and not less
Exactly, that's
confusion.
what I was looking for,
Yeah.
to have two different tax agencies for, different taxing bodies, but this, that much more of a burden for the residents to take on.
Yeah,
and
take
then,
out the, I'm sorry, take out the confusion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, my last question, did you guys reach out to us, or did Manager Falk reach out to you?
I reached out, I mean,
Okay.
I actually knew Harry from,
Okay,
in
yeah.
my old roles, so once I joined Keystone, I
Yeah, reach out.
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks.
Just one thing. I represent the Tax Claim Bureau in Allegheny County. It's made up of 19 school districts and I think 47 municipalities, boroughs, townships, et cetera. And Keystone is the agency that we use. We've had absolutely, and this is unsolicited, absolutely no problems whatsoever with Keystone. They're on the spot, they're working with taxpayers, they work with the municipalities, and I think the collections have gone up substantially over the past 10 years because of Keystone and their system. They have like a skeleton system of how you move through, and they kind of outlined a little bit. I think they're pretty efficient, and I have not had one problem with them. I say that unsolicited. I didn't know this was going to come up tonight, but I thought you ought to hear it.
Take it.
thank you.
Don't thank me. Thank you.
I'll piggyback on that and say that the automated delinquent system that Solicitor Dice is referencing is identical to the delinquent per capita tax and occupation tax system. The automation is identical. The law that allows the garnishment it's the same exact law under the LTEA that allows garnishment pre-judgment. So the automation work that went into one is utilized for the other, so they're identical. And so we've had great success recovering delinquent funds on both avenues.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Would the board like to move forward with getting a formal proposal in front of you for?
Yeah, we can move forward.
Okay. Thank you. They'll prepare a formal proposal, and we'll have that to you as soon as possible. All right, let me connect here. Okay, item number 2 is a 2024 road improvement program that our engineer Bob Robinson has submitted to the board. This is, you have the list of all the roads that are graded using the robotics grading that we use. It's going to be mostly all in wards 1 and 2, with some exceptions of a couple adjacent road segments in Ward 6. The breakdown of the funding is provided to you in the memos, all within the budget of liquid fuels and liquid fuels carryover money, general fund money, an agreement with Peoples Gas to reimburse for some of the paving. And later on, we're going to put it in front of the board for consideration a municipal agreement with Irwin for Vermont Street. I spoke to their manager, their council is on board with that agreement, so we just have to draft it and present it to the board for approval. Are there any questions on the roads to be paved for consideration for 2024? I can get them back to Bob, but the next steps would be he's going to put them out for bid, and once we get those bids in, they'll go in front of the board for consideration. So now, if there's any, depending on the bids, the amounts that they come in, if they fall within the budget or out of budget, then that's when you can make your changes to what roads would get paved or not. So.
Once approved, what is the anticipated start date? What is the anticipated end date?
That I don't know. I mean, seems like the past 2 years, the bids have been out in the spring, but the paving doesn't start till end of the summer. you want to get your bids out early, because you get a better price historically that I've seen. But it depends on the contractor, how many projects they have lined up. So it just depends when we get those bids and talk to the contractors. Okay, moving on to item number 4, or item number 3 is a logo update. So last year in our comprehensive steering committee meetings, some of the topics that we talked about is, and Commissioner Fran was a part of that, some people don't really understand where they live. They get confused. Do you live in Irwin or North Huntington or North Irwin? Because we don't have the township in our logo. I can tell you, I cringe when people say they live in somewhere else, but we live in North Huntington. I remind them, no, you live in North Huntington. And a good thing was, well, if you have a garbage can in your yard that says North Huntington, you live in North Huntington, obviously. But now would be a great time to do this. This would be one of the first components of our comprehensive plan, is to help create that identity in the most cost-effective way. And also this year, we are eligible for a website redesign and upgrade that's free of charge. Every so many years, you get that. So Jonathan is going to work with Civic Plus this year to update our website, and this would probably be a great time to do an update on our logo. And our logo is very, we like it. Of course, it's everywhere, but it's just simply changing the word connected to township. And then there's other variations that if the board would, likes, we use all 4, the ones with connected as well. Also, another good time to do this because we have to do new letterhead because the newly elected officials. So we have to get new letterhead, of course. But this doesn't mean that we can go out now and purchase all new apparel, change the logos on the trucks and vehicles and things of that nature. That'll happen over time, of course. But just changing the word connected to township, people will start seeing township and make that connection. Does that make sense? Because we're not changing the logo entirely. I could tell you Hempfield Township, they just completed their comprehensive plan too, right next door. And they're going through a rebranding. They're going through a whole process that I think they're going to do a complete rebranding. But we really I don't feel as though we need to. We just do it simple, change the connected to township. Is there any comments? Is the board good with that, or good with this new proposed logo?
Harry, you were saying township underneath North Huntington, but then you have connected, so that would be part of the logo?
In some variations, yes. Yeah, these would be the 4 logos right here. And Jonathan, did all did the design work for the township and the connected.
When you say these would be the 4 logos, what do you mean? The 4 choices or the?
Depending on the application, if we use it like on a banner, I would want to incorporate connected. I really like that where it says township and connected underneath. There might be some applications where just letterhead, where we might not be able to put connected. But we're going to try to get a feel of how it looks on paper. But the biggest thing is just changing the connected to township and added connected underneath when possible.
So the logo is going to change depending on the usage?
Yes. Is that correct, Jonathan, or do you want to?
Yeah, so the ones that have connected they're more artistic renditions. So those are things that if we're going to be doing things like YouTube videos, Facebook videos, putting title slides, something that's really graphic and visual, it'll have our tagline in it. The design elements of the logo go a little bit too vertical to try and incorporate it in a regular manner. So those can kind of be like standards. Those are things that we can kind of stamp on things for anything that we need to get out quickly. We can also work with them, be a little more flexible, add a little bit more flair to it, because it really is just something to draw attention to people's eyes to enforce that idea of our connected part of our brand identity.
So what I said is the logo is going to change depending on the usage.
The logo
So
won't-
that's,
The logo
that's,
won't change. If you want to look at it this way, the logo will just be the North Huntingdon and the township part. That will be our logo. The other ones are just kind of they're just artistic versions of our logo with our tagline. Does that make? So we're making the tagline up
Let's
part.
make this simple. I think Rich is asking you, are you gonna use all four of these logos?
Yeah, we can use.
No, is that what you wanna do? You wanna be able to use all four of them as you see fit?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, so what you're asking the board to do is really approve four different types of logos, depending on the usage.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay, that's all right. You can say yes. And so,
Yes.
what you're not gonna just have one standard logo, it's gonna vary depending on the usage.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And all four of them are in play
yes.
for approval.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would, Manager Falk, now, is that done sometime now where where the words are separated out like that to fit in different locations or something? Do you know that, Jonathan?
I'm sorry?
If it's been done now with with this connected logo we have, has it been changed a little bit to fit into different locations?
No.
Or, oh, you haven't changed it at all?
No, for the most part, our logo, we pretty much have two logos. We have this one in the horizontal with the connected logo as it stands. Yeah.
What do you mean, which other one?
Th-
Oh, yeah.
This one, yeah,
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
One and the third.
So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
As of right now even,
Right.
we still use two different logos.
We use two different, right, correct.
Depending on where you're putting it and what fits there.
Correct.
Okay, that's what it,
Yeah.
Please remind me again, what is free? What do we get with this upgrade?
So the website is hosted by Civic Plus. I mean, we pay a monthly fee to maintain the website, or a yearly fee to maintain the website. Every 3 or 4 years, 5 years, you get a free redesign of it. So we can keep it the same, or we can change some components of it. We can basically update it, keep it fresh. It's free. So now, when we do that, we can give them this logo, and they can plug that in to everywhere on the website.
Okay, so that brings me to the township vehicles. I would hate to see us spend money changing every township vehicle.
No, that's why I want to keep it, I recommend keeping it like this. But as a
Okay.
new vehicle comes in,
As a
and
new-
gets new lettering,
So the
It'll-
old vehicles will keep with what they've got?
Yes.
Saving the township and the taxpayers money.
yes.
I like that.
And same
Okay.
with the apparel. So if you still have, this
Right.
apparel,
Still acceptable.
you can, you still wear it. But anybody that moves forward purchasing new apparel will have the new logo on it.
Got it.
That way it's easy to identify the connect. Oh, yeah, you don't have to read the connected, but you'll know that that's the township.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, man, we were not going to be taxing our citizens to change. Okay.
No,
very
we feel
good.
that this is the most cost-effective way
Thank you.
of doing it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is the board okay with moving forward with changing the connected to township? Because we have to get letterhead and business cards ordered. Okay,
Change as we go forward. right?
yes. All right, thank you. Next is community newsletters. This company, they did for us, I think back in 2016 when we did the rebranding of the municipality, they did the maps, if you recall, the big fold-out maps. It's actually a free service. They do the newsletters as well. What they do is they go out, they do it themselves, solicit funds from area businesses in your municipality to fund this. And he gave me a couple examples of Elizabeth Township and Ambler Borough. So what's nice is it's 24 pages of a lot of great information of the municipality. You can put whatever you want in it, basically. They have the manager's minute, board of the commissioners of accomplishments of 2023, recreation, events, sheriff sale information. They have some employee spotlights, project updates, something from the fire department, a dedication. It looks like some magistrate court information, vacant property information, but you can put as much as you want into it. I think that's where we identified in our comprehensive plan is we're not really fully connected to the community, but this will help make us more connected to the community. And that was one of my goals that I mentioned in my budget message for this year, is to try to get more connected to the citizens of North Huntington. The only cost of this would be to the municipality is if we were to mail this out to all the residents in North Huntington. I did ask him for how much that would cost, and he has not provided a cost yet, so I don't have an estimate of how much that would cost. But if we, depending on the cost, we can either mail it out once a year or twice a year, have like a spring and summer and a fall and winter. But the biggest thing is getting this information out to our residents, and it's also online, so we can put a link when it comes publicized on our Facebook page and social media to go to our website, and they'll be able to read this. And then we can also include this in our new resident packets, because every time a new resident comes in, we do mail them a packet of information. So those are two. Oh, noise. Guess you could add pages if you're. But they have garbage, and this is also great for MS4. One of the MS4 requirements is educating the public. We do not do a good job of that right now, unfortunately, but that's one of our goals, to work towards that this year. But and it also publicizes the businesses that are in the township to help support businesses and small businesses as well. So if the board is okay with that, I can move forward with him to give us a proposal to do this.
I'd like to
it's-
see-
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ron.
I'd like to see a proposal on how much it would cost to mail out, but I like the idea.
Yeah, the cost is free. The only thing the cost would be the cost to us is the
Mailing
mailing it out to all the residents. And he said a company does all the legwork. We just have to supply the information.
I think this goes back to a well-informed voter is a good voter. I think every 31,000 people or more of North Huntington should know exactly what we are doing, open and transparent. And I think there's no better way than doing that right here. I mean, we have our meetings, we have our live feed, but this goes even further. And I think this is very much needed. So I too recommend that we do move forward and take a look at what the cost is going to be for the mail out. Thank you.
All right. I do, thank you. Moving on to item number 5, codification of the code and ordinance. If you remember, this project of codifying the ordinances started back, I think, in 2015, 2016, I believe, maybe 2012, but it happened a number of years ago. We're at the point now where I finished it last year with the general code. This will put our ordinances online. And we also get those nice books that I showed you before that be issued out. But basically, all our codes will be codified, simplified, basically, and online and available for all the residents. To move forward with that, they provided an ordinance that's in particular to us, that if the solicitor's office will have to review, and then after their review, the board can have a motion at a meeting to advertise for the proposed ordinance. Are there any questions about moving forward with this? Solicitor Dice, have you got a chance to look over this yet?
I have not. If council moves forward with this, we will.
Okay. So this would be the next step, that codifying our ordinances.
This is fairly standardized. It isn't going to be difficult.
Okay. We'll move forward and have the solicitor's office review this ordinance, and once they have the review complete, it'll be put in front of the board for a motion to advertise. and we can complete a project that's about 10 years old. Next is an RFP for a roof replacement of the townhouse. As I mentioned last year, we have a couple leaks in the roof. It's been a number of years since it's been replaced. At next week's meeting, I'm asking for a board to accept proposals for a roof replacement. We did receive a quote. It is a budgeted item in the capital line item for this year, a budget of $100,000. I don't not anticipate it costing $100,000, but we'll get some proposals in and move forward with replacing the roof. And part of the replacing of the roof, things to be considered is the color of the shingle, and if there's any wood or drywall, plywood that needs replaced as well, we'll make sure that's included. Once we receive the proposals, they'll be presented to the board, and then the board will vote to accept the proposal from the contractor. But the first step is to motion to advertise, or to motion to request proposals next week's meeting. And then you'll have a chance to review the proposals. Any questions?
Not on this. I would like to back up for 1 second to the codify code ordinance. What we have in front of us was prepared by who?
By general code,
Okay,
The company that you used.
right.
yeah. They prepare the ordinance.
Is there anybody that can tell me what number 28 is on page, 3? I'm just curious. That mentions WHJB Inc.
That would be, this ordinance would repeal specific ordinances.
Okay.
And that's
so-
one of the ordinances, is it looks like an old franchise agreement with Time Warner.
Right. So
Entertainment.
this is something general code found that needs to be repealed.
Correct. And then we
Okay.
just need to double check their work.
And what the solicitor is going to go over is this document?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think Time Warner was a cable it was the
Right.
cables, yeah.
was.
Yeah, and it's just
It was.
outdated.
Thank you.
If no further questions or comments, that is all I have to present to the board at tonight's meeting.
All right, next we have planning and engineering topics. Director Fonzie's not here. Manager Falk.
So we have a public hearing on this next week that the board will have to hear and to have any discussion or comments during that time, during that public hearing.
Anyone have any questions about that? Nope. Anybody have anything for old business? Any further board comments?
Yeah, I'd like to speak on something. I feel comfortable saying it now because this is already out in the media, but it's kind of worrisome to me. Last month, we had an executive session that was pretty extensive, that was almost an hour long, which is supposed to be secretive. And a short time later, we have the issue that was discussed in executive session is all over the media. It's in the newspaper, it's on TV. And with one of our board members speaking with the media. So I would just like an explanation from Commissioner Atwood on the breach of confidentiality and secrecy on our executive session topic.
If I may
If you would hold off, I asked the question of Commissioner Atwood, please.
Okay.
Can Commissioner Atwood answer that?
Sure. At the, when I was notified, I reached out to Harry, who said that we had the other party involved that had reached out to the media, who had got everything going. Things that he said in the media were discussed, but nothing other than that.
But you, as the president, I believe, are supposed to know the rules of executive session. you breached the rules of executive session, and actually, in Robert's rules, I'm not going to bring them up, but, I mean, it actually says members can be disciplined for a breach of Robert's rules and a breach of executive session by leaking information. I mean, members of an organization can be disciplined for that. They can actually be expelled from a group, but you wouldn't be expelled from this. But that's very worrisome to me, that I worry now that anytime we go in executive session, anything can be brought up. We speak of legal issues in there, and if the other part of a legal issue goes and runs to the media, that doesn't mean we're allowed to do it. I mean, we're held to secrecy. I think that's a very big breach of our confidentiality that we hold those meetings to be. And I'm I think it's very worrisome that we have somebody not only on his board, but that's actually running the board, making that decision and not knowing what to do and having to reach out to somebody else. I mean, that's worrisome to me.
It goes a little bit further into that. It actually even goes into our manager, Manager Falk. I mean, I believe you were the original one that sent the email out in excitement for the news broadcast. I actually reached out to the Tribune Review to see actually who reached out to them about who originally wrote the article. Like, why were they writing the article? Who reached out to them? And it was obviously the group that's planning on doing the project. But as Commissioner Zona says, the executive sessions are being held because they are meeting, and they have to be done under certain circumstances. And Solicitor Dice can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the executive session, and actually we have email confirmation. Thank you, Commissioner Gray, because he questioned about having it as an executive session. And you can have an executive session per the Sunshine Act for any type of sale of property or leasing of property, which this currently would be the state that we were dealing with at that point in time. If there was any type of news broadcast or media that reached out from anyone from the municipality, all legally we were supposed to say is that we did conduct a executive session dealing with a property matter, a possible lease. That's legally all that we are bound to say. And we had that meeting in December, and at our meeting it was announced that we had a meeting to deal with leasing of property. So per the Sunshine Act, we did everything that was required of us. Now, if other board members go out and take it on their own accord, or actually township employees go on their own accord and talk about what happens in executive session, is a very disturbing matter, because the reason you have executive session is to deal with sensitive matter. So if we are having board members and township employees going to talk about executive session in public, it is very disturbing.
That kind of activity can actually get the township sued if we go out and release
Correct.
information that we shouldn't release, legal information or employee information, or that's why it's so disturbing. I mean, it just, and again, whether that other party releases it or not, that doesn't give us the right to go release it. And I don't know why that other party would want to come here and come into our executive session and to speak to us in private, only to turn around and run to the media to begin with.
It's not in good faith.
No, on either side here, actually.
Correct. Someone has a motive that they're trying to charge forward with.
Again, I think it's worrisome, and I don't even know how we move forward from this, because, I mean, I'm gonna feel suspect in every executive session meeting, not knowing what's gonna be taken outside of that room and what's not gonna be.
Okay. We've been here for 4 years. And some of us 2 years. And in that time, nothing has happened like this. So
That we know about.
Come on.
Do you want to explain to me why Manager Falk, Commissioner Atwood, and Commissioner Goss had a meeting up at the Townhouse building? What was that meeting about?
That is the township manager and the president and the vice president speaking, which you could have done for the last 4 years.
So what was that meeting about?
I have no problem discussing it. Do you want to know about it?
Yeah, I do actually.
It was about everything and anything in this township for the care and the personnel.
Shouldn't we be doing that in a public meeting setting, not in a closed door room without every commissioner invited?
You had the opportunity to do that for the last 4 years.
Our
I believe the
opportunities in
reason
this
why-
public meeting
You gonna
room
let me finish
in
talking,
front of the
or you gonna
public.
continue to cut me off?
No, I just was interested to see why you guys had secretive meetings that were closed door
It's
that
not
the public was
secretive.
not, was the public invited?
Not that I'm aware of. I do not know. I don't know if there was an all-call put out or not.
I know I wasn't invited. Were you invited, Commissioner Gray?
No.
Commissioner Himpel? Commissioner?
I mean, we weren't even made aware of them.
We're not even aware about secretive meetings going on with the manager of this township.
Yet you
and two
sit here and
commissioners.
accuse us of having a so-called secretive meeting, but how did you find out now?
Employees can talk.
Let me tell you, that's fine. Let the employees talk. I've got nothing to hide, and I don't think Mr. Atwood does, and Mr. Falk has anything to hide. The fact of the matter is, I felt, and nobody ever came up to me and said what these rules are. You've had 4 years to have conversations with Harry, with the township manager.
The conversations
helps
are to be had in public.
It helps drive, in what,
The way that local government works is if you have any issues, you bring them up at a public meeting, unless they fall under the laws of the Sunshine Law Act, which are executive session material. Outside of that, everything is supposed to be done in public, Eric. All policy that we bring forward is supposed to be done in public.
Are you saying that we're not allowed to talk to Harry?
No, you're allowed to talk to Harry. You're not allowed to set up a meeting with more than one commissioner and talk to Harry.
And if the president and vice president of this board is having a meeting, they should be reporting back to us.
It depends what they're talking about.
It affects all of us. We've heard before in meetings, other people criticized on his board for not bringing information, not being transparent. I mean, if we're going to be transparent, let's be transparent and just, if a meeting was held, it should have been brought back to this board and said that this meeting was held and here's what was discussed.
I don't think it was a formal meeting.
Doesn't matter.
So if I
I'm
just
sure-
want to talk to Harry and I want to bring one commissioner with me, that has to be known to everybody in the world?
We were just told they were talking township business, everything and anything about township business, we were just told.
you guys go up to Ride and Hunt and talk business. I've been up there with you.
Yeah, we talk, a few of us, yeah.
What's that about?
That's a whole different issue.
Why are we pointing fingers? Is it because of what happened earlier this month?
No,
Because-
we're not
Yeah,
pointing
I
fingers.
feel that it
I
is.
actually would just like to
I
know
feel
what the
that it
meeting
is.
was about, because I heard about it, and I
It
would
was
like to know
nothing
about.
negative, it was positive, it's a direction of things that we can talk about and bring up
So
about.
why wouldn't
and
we want to
everything.
bring that up in public?
We can
Because
do that
would like
now.
to celebrate. Let's hear it.
What amazes me is we sit up here as 7 Republican conservatives and we're nitpicking each other.
I'm
Now,
not
this is just
nitpicking.
great
I just
news
was
for everybody else.
interested to what you
What
guys
do you
talked
think
about.
is going on that is so detrimental that people can't speak?
I'm not
How
saying
is
there
this
is. I'm
detrimental?
interested in seeing what it is. Why can't you state what you talked about? I have not heard anything concrete that you
We
talked
talked about the logo. We talked about the community newsletter, the codified of the code ordinance, the roof replacement. I
So
talked
you
about the
discussed
color.
all these agenda items with Harry before our meeting tonight?
Why not?
Are you setting me up?
No, I'm
Why
just
don't you
asking
just
the
come
question.
clean with this?
I'm
Why-
just
Is that what
asking
you
the
want?
question. I'm asking the
Why are we not
question.
allowed to talk
Thank you.
to
Why
Harry
are we not allowed
about
to
any
talk?
agenda items before the meeting? If I want more information about an agenda item, I should be able to go to Harry and ask for more information. So I can vote with information that I have before me.
That's what these very meetings are for. That's why we have a work session meeting and a voting meeting. Because the voting meetings are to be for voting, the work session meetings are to be discussed in the matters at hand. There's no problem if we have the agenda, that if you email Manager Falk, that you would want more information on, so Harry could provide it at the meeting. But it should be open to the public. It should be an open dialogue with the public and the commissioners about the topics. It shouldn't be done behind the door where the public's not involved.
Number 1, show me that rule. Number 2, if you show me that rule, that will never happen.
It's the
again.
Sunshine
Listen to
Law
me.
Act.
It'll listen to me.
Solicitor Dice, am I mistaken by anything I'm saying here, sir?
Show me the rule so I don't break the law, if that's what you're thinking I'm doing. And if I did, I'm going to ask right now for forgiveness and a little bit of grace and a little bit of mercy, because I did not know that that was the case. Where's your compassion and grace?
So Solicitor Dice, I asked you a question about the Sunshine Law Act and open records and public meetings.
Let me make it pretty simple. If you want to meet with Harry and discuss items that are going to appear on an agenda, you can't do it if there's 4 of you. If one of you or 2 of you or 3 of you want to go in and talk to Harry about an issue that's on the agenda to become informed, you can do that. There are towns and communities that take Ron's position and Zach's position. Look, if you're going to do that, we all want to be there. I think that's what they're saying. But I will tell you, as a matter of law, if there isn't a quorum, you're able to go in and talk to the manager and learn information. There can't be any voting that goes on, but as long as you don't have a quorum there, you can talk with him and acquire information about what's on the agenda. Again, though, Ron and Zach are saying, I want to be included in that. I think that's what they're saying.
Or be advised and let us know what was discussed. That's what I said, just come back. All I hear is transparency,
I think-
transparency, transparency.
I
then
think-
bring it
Yet you
back.
guys sat here and knew very well that we had a meeting, and none of you picked up the phone to ask me. Did you ask Mr. Atwood? You waited until tonight in a public forum.
It's what it's supposed to be in a public forum.
But why didn't you owe me the courtesy? You provided no courtesy to me. None. I am a little bit put back by this, Mr. Hagus and Mr. Zona, by your attitude and your demeanor, that you would think that anything illegal would go on. How dare you, both of you, how dare you?
Well, and I would just, since you're going to call me out, I'm just going to say, when you take these positions, you can't plead ignorance. You need to know what the rules in the law are. Jason, you've preached about Robert's rules. You walked around one day and gave us all a book of Robert's rules. Executive session is in Robert's rules, and you violated it. And according to you, you're the guru of Robert's rules. That's my whole issue with this. I mean, I'm still hung up on this executive session thing because that's a serious issue. And you can't take these positions here and say, well, I didn't know what Robert's rules, I don't know what the Sunshine Act is. I violated this, I didn't know that, I didn't know that.
What did Mr. Solicitor Dice just say? It
Eric,
was permissible. He just got done sitting beside you 5 minutes
I'm
ago.
talking about
and saying
executive
it.
session, Eric. Listen to what I'm saying.
Don't come here and level allegations against me.
I will
and
come
then,
here and
then
say
do whatever you
whatever I
want to
want.
say.
I will say whatever I want in this meeting, as we
That's
all are allowed
fine.
to say.
And I think
But
what
have your
Relax.
ducks in a row.
I
the
do.
Solicitor Dice did say, and I 100% agree with what he stated, the manager, you can go to the manager for information sessions. You can't go to the manager to give him direction with a group or a individual. That needs to be done in a public forum, which we're doing now. So if the manager would get direction from a board member or board members, that would fall outside the line of what Solicitor Dice is saying. If it was purely informational, which could be done on an email, Manager Falk, I got a question about the demolition that we're talking about. Do we have any pictures? Something of that nature. Information-based is totally acceptable. But when you're giving a employee direction or you're setting policy outside a public meeting, that's what falls outside the Sunshine Law Act.
And I assure you, none of that happened.
That's all I was asking, because I was unaware of what was going on at the
And all it
meeting.
could have taken was a nice phone call from either of you gentlemen, instead of doing this. Thank you.
So we did meet, we discussed signatures that were going to be needed for the bank to be changed. We discussed, I did ask him to provide me a copy of the voting meeting agenda prior to the work session. I did ask him for that personally. But other than that, Harry took the time to show us what was being worked on by staff, which is some of the items that were on the agenda tonight. It was all purely informational. Nothing was, no direction was given. It was purely informational for myself and for Commissioner Goss to get oriented to the positions.
That's all that needed to be said.
And again, that's all that needed to be asked. But no, we had to do this out here today.
Does anybody else have anything? any
Yeah, I
further board
do.
comment?
I guess apparently there is some trouble too with email communication with some commissioners and whatnot, Manager Falk. I guess in to better handle this, if commissioners are having trouble getting emails, maybe we could just provide any type of newsletters or any type of mail that the commissioners will getting, and then maybe you could email that commissioner that may have trouble with their emails so they can come pick it up at the municipal building.
And I would add to that, everybody should just go to a township email and there wouldn't be an issue. Because if we're using personal emails that some people are for township business, that's not the proper method to be using, because that opens that up for a right to know also. So, and I think if everyone's on a township email, there wouldn't be an issue receiving things.
Just let me say one thing. If you're using your personal email to receive township business, you should be aware that if you do it that way, your entire personal email can be discovered in court. That's why you have a township email. You should really use the township email for township business. If you get into using your private email, that makes it discoverable on everything, and that you want to avoid.
I believe every commissioner is provided a municipal email. If I'm not correct. Is that correct, Manager Falk?
That is correct.
And that's the email that's listed on the township's webpage.
Correct.
So once it goes there, if a township commissioner forwards those emails to their personal emails, that's on them as to what Solicitor Dice is
Yeah,
stating.
and I think if you have a problem, you can go to our IT guy and get yourself set up so that you're getting the township emails on your phone or whatever you want to use, but it has to be separate from your personal. So that's just a point. I just had all of the phones for Gateway school board members, 9 members, confiscated because they were doing just this. And we're in a fight over an appointment that was made to a athletic director. And now the other side is trying to discover all of those emails, which includes their personal emails. And that's what you want to try to avoid.
I actually think on the website, you might want to check that, because one of the commissioners doesn't have an email listed, and there's someone else that doesn't have a phone number listed on there too, whether they want that on there. But there is one spot on there where there's no email listed for someone. You might want to check.
Yeah, Manager Falk, if you could just maybe move forward, especially with the transition here, that make sure every commissioner is provided with a township email. And then obviously, I've always put my cell phone number on the township's webpage, but that's up to every commissioner. I'm not going to tell every commissioner to put their phone number out there, but I would think that they would want it to be being a public servant, but that's up to them.
Yes, every commissioner does have a township-issued email. There are no phone numbers on the website. If you'd like to have your phone number published, send me.
There is. I just looked at it today because my personal number's on it. I was just on the website today.
Where
Mine
they're at,
also.
because I'm looking on and I don't. Jonathan may be able to help.
I can help you out a little bit. So if you go to the Board of Commissioners section on our website and you click on the commissioners, what it does is it pulls up the staff directory module. For the people who opted into giving a phone number, that phone number is listed on the website. If at any time you want to opt out of that, that's fine. If any time you want to add a phone number, I can also put that in there. That's not an issue. And just to confirm what Harry said, everybody does have a township email address for township mail to go to. That much I can confirm.
Just double check, because there's one block on there that doesn't have an email in it.
I
I just looked at it
I
today.
believe somebody had requested that it not be listed on
Okay.
on the site.
But it still exists,
It does exist, yes. And just as a
and staff uses it.
yes, and just on a side note too, our IT vendor too had at one point they had recommended, for security reasons, everybody, whether you're receiving or sending email, to use a township device or use a township email account. That was something that just came to my attention recently. So,
So is there a reason why you requested your email not to be put on the website, Commissioner Gray?
Personal.
Personal, all right. I mean, I'm completely comfortable.
I'm comfortable with the phone number on there. In fact, people call me rather than write because they prefer to actually get a person.
Yeah,
So I've had calls from other wards to my phone number because they said, quote, "You're the only one with the guts to put your phone number
I
on."
believe
cell phone- my cell
my
phone's on
number's on there as
Okay.
well, so
Well, I'm just telling you what somebody told me.
I guess you don't
from-
have the guts to put your email on there then.
Okay.
Do you use your township email for township business, or do you use a personal email?
Depends.
Okay.
Everything I send township related to the board, you have a copy of.
Yeah, and I see it, there's always an email on there that's not a township email, that's why I'm asking. I mean, that other email that's in there is always in those, with all the township business we do, it's somebody's personal address that's in there. Not sure it's yours, that's why I brought it up today, because I thought somebody is not using a township email, obviously. Which, as the solicitor said, if somebody does a right to know.
Or is using both.
Okay, but if somebody's still using a personal device or a personal email for township business, I mean, they're putting themselves at risk, but that's their decision, I guess.
Any additional board comments?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye.
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 Meeting adjourned at 8:07.